All right, so we're gonna get started today. Can everyone hear me? If you can, you can comment something in the chat.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I hear
Okay,
you.
good. Sorry if you have to turn up the volume a little bit today. I'm gonna get something tomorrow to make that a little easier for Wednesday, but yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get started today. It's gonna be a pretty relaxed day. We're not gonna do much. We're not gonna use Matlab today. But if you went to Canvas, then you will have seen the schedule for the day. So I'm gonna share my screen. I know it looked weird for a second there. Okay, now you guys can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yep.
All right, so if you, I guess first off, I should have introduced myself. So I'm Patrick. I'm a graduate student at Cal State Fullerton. I did my undergrad at Cal State Fullerton as well. So my area of interest is in fluid mechanics. And I'm doing research with Dr. Tran. So if any of you guys know him, or if you're going to take a class with him, maybe in an upcoming semester, I would definitely recommend taking a class with him. He's really good. But even for me in mechanical engineering, I'm using programming this semester as well for my research. So even if you think you aren't going to be doing programming in your future classes, or I guess just in general, you might, especially with the labs here, you're going to be using Matlab. So I think this is a good intro class for that. Okay, so if we go to the student portal, if you log in, all of you should have been able to access the Canvas website already, but if you didn't go on there yet, then I'll show you how to get there. So you're going to log in to fullerton.edu, then you'll click on Canvas on the left there, and then you can access all your courses here. So for us, we're Matlab, we got that great course picture. Sorry, let me turn on the chat so I can see you guys. All right, so now we're on the course page. So hopefully you took a look at this so you can kind of look around and see what I have so far. But I'm going to be updating this for probably the next 2 weeks to make it look a bit better and decide on a format that I like. But right now I just have some basic info on the homepage. So obviously my name, my email, our meeting times, they're Monday, Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. And then office hours, that's going to be every Monday at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So if you can't make that time, then you can just send me an email and then we can schedule a different time. And then the syllabus, that's going to be on this homepage as well. If I ever update it, then I'll let you know that I updated it. So I updated that, I guess, 2 days ago. And then we got the class links for Zoom. For every meeting, it's going to be the same link. And then the office hours, and then the Discord server. So the Discord server, we're going to use that basically if any of you have a question and you want to either get in contact with me or another student really fast, you can do that. Email is okay too, but that takes a longer time because you'll send an email, I might not see it for, an hour or two. And just communicating back and forth like that throughout the day is going to take a long time. So if you use the Discord server, you can talk to me a bit more fast, or you can talk to other students as well. Say if you had an issue with the homework, you were kind of stuck on that, you could go into Discord and you could talk about that. So some of you can't hear me? Okay. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to turn up the audio for today. You might need to turn up like almost all the way, but I'm gonna get that fixed tomorrow. So sorry about that. But the majority of you can hear me okay, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna click on the Discord server right now, and then you can see what would pop up. So it looks like we got some people online too right now. So you're just gonna click on the Discord server, and then you can sign up to join our channel. I'm actually gonna open this up too. So if you go to Discord and you go to our channel, and this is what it's going to look like. So yeah, so we got some stuff in here. And then I have one channel just for general right now. And then I have another channel that's going to be for the first chapter in the book. So I'll talk about the book in a bit as well. But I guess real quick, you don't need to have a book in this class. I would recommend it, but you don't need to have it. The homework I'm going to make myself. So you don't need the book for that. And yeah, you join the server just on Canvas. So right now we're on the home page for Canvas. So you just look on this home page and then it says Discord server right there. I'm not sure about the channel. I don't even use Discord that often, but everyone, I guess some people don't have their names in there, but I'll look into that because yeah, again, I don't use Discord that often.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
So how do we know that so for roll call, like how would you give us credit for that we showed up?
So attendance, I'm not gonna have any I guess a grade for that. So I'll get to that once we get to the syllabus as well. But so I'm not gonna take attendance each class. Okay, and then so someone's saying for the name on Discord, you can set your nickname to be your name. So thanks. Okay, so that's the Discord server. So going back really quick, the general chat, that's just for anything you want to do. I don't really care what you talk about. I mean, it's got to be appropriate, but you know, you could basically do whatever. And then I'm going to add different channels for each chapter in the book. So we're going to have homework based on each chapter. So if you are stuck on the homework, again, you can just go in there and talk about it. Okay, and then below this, I have the schedule and assignments. So for the first week, if we just click on that, it'll take us to the schedule. So this is for today. So we're going to go over the intro. We already did that. So we're going to talk about Canvas. Then we're going to talk about the syllabus. Then the virtual computer lab. So that'll be if you can't access Matlab for some reason on your own computer, you can use this virtual computer lab to access a computer that's at school, and then you can go on Matlab that way. And we'll go over the Matlab install, and then we're going to briefly go over how Matlab looks today, but it's not going to be too in depth, and you can just watch me. And then the homework, you're not going to have any homework today, but I would recommend that you start reading chapter 1 in the book. Again, you don't need to have the book, but I think it's a good idea, and how you get that is that's your discretion, okay? You can get it though. And so I have the 3rd edition for the book. Get it really quick. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen really quick. So I have this book. It's the 3rd edition. Intro to Matlab for Engineers by William J. Palm. I think there is a 4th edition now, but they're gonna be basically the same. Okay, so yeah, check out the book. I would recommend using that, but honestly, the lectures that we have here, they're going to be helpful, and then also YouTube is good. I've learned a lot of stuff for MATLAB on YouTube. Okay. All right, and then below that we have the resources tab right now. Okay, there. So I have my YouTube channel linked here. I'm going to upload all of the lectures, including this one, on the YouTube channel. And then I also have a link for the Mathworks website. So first we'll click my channel. All of this stuff that I have right now is from other classes from last semester, but I'll upload stuff for this class. And then I also plan on making some videos for just stuff that I think would be helpful for you. So one of the things we have is Latex. I'll make a video on that probably like this weekend. That's basically to use instead of Microsoft Word. So you don't have to use LaTeX in the class, of course not, but it's something I would recommend, especially when you start typing lab reports for labs. So not for this class, but once you start doing lab reports, you're going to have to type out a lot of mathematical equations, and that takes forever in Microsoft Word. While in LaTeX, you can type it pretty fast. And then I might make one for Vim. That's a text editor, so that's what I use LaTeX. And it's, again, this stuff is not really related to the class specifically, but I think it's helpful, and all of you might be interested in just looking at those videos. Again, then Mathworks, again, as I say here, they have a lot of good tutorials for Matlab, and they have good documentation. So if we click on that link, I just put it to the tutorial page that they have. So they have a series here if you want to go through that, but I mean, that's why you're taking the class to actually understand Matlab in a video format. But they might have some videos that go into a little more depth on, like, I don't know, a specific command that I talk about in the lecture. So that might be useful. And then the documentation is really good as well. So that's going to be on the help page, or if you just go to Google and you type in, I don't know. Linspace is one command that we're going to go over, so just thought of that. But if you type in whatever command you want to look up for Matlab into Google, it's going to take you onto their help page. And I mean, look, just for this one command, they have a good amount of stuff. All right. So are there any questions so far? No? Okay. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go over the virtual computer lab. So again, if you can't access Matlab for some reason at home or whatever computer you're on, you can use some computer, and then you can access one of the computers that are at school, and then you can use Matlab that way. Okay. So all of you as a student, you have access to Matlab for free. But again, if you can't run it on your computer, you're going to go to this website. I'll put this on the Canvas course as well. But all you have to do is go to the login here. And if you're not already logged in, it's going to ask you to log in to Fullerton.edu. So all right, so you're going to log in, and then you're going to go to reservations. Going to make a new reservation. And then right here where it says environment, that's going to be pretty small on your screen, but it says please select the environment you want to use from the list. Okay, there, it's better. And then basically all of these are going to be the Windows or the computers that they have at school. So there's quite a lot of them, but not all of them have Matlab on them. So you want to be sure that you select one with Matlab. So the one I selected right now, it actually says Matlab in the name and ECS. So that's our engineering and computer science college. And then it's going to ask when you want to use the environment. So when you want to basically use Matlab. So I'll say right now, then you can select your duration. And then you press create reservation. Okay, so I'm going to create that, and it's going to take just a minute to load up the computer basically at school. Some of them kind of take a while, like some I looked before today, it took like 10 minutes to boot up, so some of them are pretty slow. So we'll wait for this. If you have a Windows PC, then it's gonna, once this is done loading, it's just gonna be able to open up automatically to the computer. But if you're using a Mac, you're gonna need to download some other software. And then if you're using Linux as well, you got to use some other software. So if you go, I guess I'm not showing that right now, but if you were on that first page that we were on for the virtual computer lab, it would show documentation for how to use it. So if you have a Mac, you need to download this app from the App Store. Rated pretty low, but it was actually okay when I checked it out. And then if you're using Linux, you got to install a different app as well, called Our Desktop. Okay, so once it's loaded, you're gonna press connect. Then you're gonna be given this stuff right here. So you have the IP address, basically, the user login that you're gonna use, which should just be your CWID, and then a given password to log in with. So if you're on a PC, if you press get RDP file, which is basically what we're gonna use to remotely connect, then that would open automatically in Windows with a program that they already have installed. If you're on a Mac, again, you gotta download the other software. So Microsoft Remote Desktop 10, just go to the App Store and then you'll get it. And again, if any of you are using Linux, you gotta get Our Desktop. So for me, I gotta type in Our Desktop, and then again, the IP address. Okay. And you see now it's loading up here, so I'm going to type in my CWID. And then we'll type in the password that they give me. All right, and then we're going to let that boot up. I guess it's pretty self-explanatory from here on out, but you're just going to boot up and then you can open Matlab inside of that computer and then you can use it. So I don't know if there's any of you that need to like go to a public library or something to access those computers, but I don't even know if they're open right now because of coronavirus, but whatever the case may be, if you have to do this, this is how you can access the school computers. So I'm going to open up Matlab right now. And one thing to note, using this virtual computing lab, the connection is kind of slow. It's not terrible, but it is a lot slower than what you would have on your own computer. And I guess this right now is going to show you what Matlab looks like if you haven't installed it yet. Okay, so now it's opened up. So this is what it looks like. Looks kind of archaic, but whatever. And so this is where you're going to type your stuff in. So I'm just going to make a plot right now, and we're going to talk about this later in the week, how we can do this. So see, typing is kind of slow here. Okay. All right, so we're just going to let this run. If you look in the bottom left here, it says busy, so, you know, it's doing something. Oh yeah, you guys are on the, it's not showing the right screen. Okay, sorry about that. Let me try to figure that out. I don't know why I didn't stay on the same window. Actually, I think I do know why. Okay. Yeah, it's not showing this because it's in a virtual environment. So that's not really helpful. All right. So sorry about that. I didn't see your comments already, but did you guys see when I was connecting at least in the, I was, you know, typing stuff out, Our Desktop, and then I put in the IP address? No, you didn't? Okay. I guess that was kind of pointless then. Yeah. Yeah, I can't see because it's, yeah, basically a different computer. All right. So, yeah, I didn't notice that. Okay. But again, if you have a PC, it's going to be pretty self-explanatory. It's going to open up automatically once you press connect. And then if you have a Mac, you can connect pretty easily with that as well, and same with Linux. But I'm going to disconnect from it now. Yeah, I could do it again, and I'll record it actually using other software, and then I'll upload that to Canvas, yeah. And then, let's see, it's still not showing my screen. I'm going to stop the share right now. I'll start it again. Okay. So for me, sharing the screen in Zoom, usually if you press share screen, it shows like an option for which window you want to share. Their program for Linux isn't fantastic. It only gives me one option for the window to share. And doing that, it allows me to go to each window, but it's still kind of buggy. So even when I disconnected from the virtual computer lab, it still wasn't showing my screen. So doesn't matter though, I'll record a video after class for how to use the virtual computer lab, and then I'll upload that. Okay, where did I put, yeah, here, all right. So, okay, now we're gonna go over the syllabus. Okay, so the syllabus, that's on Canvas as well. And so if you, I'll actually go there really quick. So if you're on the home page for our class, you can click on the syllabus and it should open up in your web browser, or you can download it, of course. So here it doesn't actually show the hyperlinks that I have in the syllabus, but they're there. So I'm just going to go back to the syllabus here. So if you download it, you should see these blue boxes, and they're going to show you where the hyperlinks are that I have. Okay, so location, obviously you know that it's with Zoom. We're going to meet Monday, Wednesday. Office hours, Zoom as well. I have a different link for that on the website. And again, Monday, 12 to 1 p.m. But if you can't make it, then just send me an email or talk to me in Discord and we can set up a different time. That's my email. Course description. So I just took this straight from the catalog. So you would have seen this when you signed up for the course. So just computers and their numerical applications. Programming languages. So we're going to be using Matlab for the vast majority of the course. Mathcad, so we're actually not going to go over Mathcad. At least that's not the plan right now. So not everyone that teaches this course goes over Mathcad. And I'm not planning to at this moment because I don't think it's that useful, to be honest. It can be useful to do like, well, math, as you would kind of assume. So you could like do homework in there to check your units or just do a calculation, but I haven't even used it since I took this class, so I don't think it's very useful compared to Matlab and then Python, which I'll talk about in a bit as well. Okay, so and then say spreadsheets, digital computation methods, so we'll talk about that. And I mean, pretty general, I guess, but we're going to be using Matlab for 90% of this class, and then at the very end, we're going to go over Python. Prereq Math 150A, so all of you took that. I don't even know why it's a prereq because we're not going to be doing calculus in this class. And then resources, so we have the book that I showed you in the back there. So I have the 3rd edition. There's a 4th edition out now, but the edition doesn't matter. Just having some kind of resource for MATLAB, that's going to be of use to you. And I should say, in my lecture, so I'm going off of the book for my lectures, but I'm not going to go over 100% everything that's in the book. I'm only going to talk about the things that I think are most important. And for certain commands, I'll go over again the most important aspect of that command, but if you want to read up more on that command, then you should check out the book or look it up on Google or YouTube. Okay, and then we have Matlab tutorials from Mathworks and YouTube. So this link, again, that just goes to the link that I had on Canvas. And yeah, the book, it's not mandatory. So Right? You don't need to have it. I'd recommend it, but you don't need to have it. Okay, and then we have Python tutorials from YouTube. So we're going to go over Python at the very end of the class. And I'm not planning on having any quizzes or anything with Python. It's more just to kind of introduce you to Python, but we'll see. All right, so course overview and objectives. So for this, really, all it's saying is that for us as engineering students, a lot of the stuff, well, and engineers, hopefully later on, a lot of the problems that we have to solve, they can't be solved analytically, or really that just means by hand. So we need to use a computer to solve it using numerical methods. So an example is the research that I'm doing this semester. You can't really solve them analytically. So I'm doing research again with Dr. Tran. It's for cardiovascular disease. And basically we're going to model blood flow using Python. So that's why I want to talk about Python in the end and how it's kind of relevant, or how you can pick it up based on what you learned in Matlab. But the equations that we're using for that research, we can't solve it by hand, or if we did, it would take a very, very long time. So we're going to solve it numerically using a programming language. So in this case, we're using Python and using something called Phoenix inside of Python. But basically all that matters is that we can solve stuff using a computer or using numerical methods a lot easier than solving stuff by hand. So that's the main point of this course, I guess. And to process data, if you have some data like, I guess something that is more relevant to you, once you start taking labs like 306A and 306B, and the other two labs, 476A and 476B, you're going to be recording data in those labs if you haven't taken them yet. You're going to record the data, you're going to have to process that data, and then you're going to plot that data and then interpret that data. So when I looked at the website earlier, I think there are some of you, like there's a pretty good spread of students in this class. So some of you are freshmen, some are sophomores, and I saw like 1 or 2 seniors too. So maybe some of you took those classes. So I see a question for a free version of the book for the students. I don't think there is. I think you might be talking about, they said something like, I think it was like, are you talking about the digital version of the book? Because I think I saw that on here once. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there's not a free version for students, but I'll look into that as well. So right now I clicked on, I was just on the home screen here and I clicked on our course material. So this is the book. Oh, and I also, so it says that I opted in right now. So I don't know if they're having you pay for that now or not. So you should look into that too. Okay, yeah. So Tiffany's saying that there's a trial version until they charge you. So they're charging you by default. Seems kind of messed up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I have a PDF of the book. I can email it to you, then you can email it to everyone else.
Okay. Well,
That's
I'll just say you guys can get the book however you want to get it, because I don't know if that's, strictly legal, but you can just get the book however you can, okay? So you guys can use the Discord. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so this says opted in right now, and I actually saw, if you guys go on the subreddit, I saw someone made a post that they automatically opt you in to the textbook. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to charge you by default or not, but make sure that you're not going to get charged if you don't want to be charged for the book. All right, so let's go back to the syllabus. Okay, so student outcomes, whatever, you can read that. It's not much. Basically what I just said. So attendance. So I say attendance is mandatory in the syllabus, but if you look right below, I don't have any grading for the attendance. So you should show up to every class. It's going to help you out, but you're not going to get docked if you don't attend each class. However, we are going to have some quizzes in the class, and for that, you do have to attend. And that's going to be towards the end of the class. So I think I talk about that. Yeah, I talk about it right here. Okay, so for the grading, we have homework, that's 15%. So right now, I'm thinking that we'll have homework for each chapter in the book, but that might be too spread out. So I might make it like 2 homework assignments per chapter, something like that, because you should have practice for each chapter. But there's only 7 or 8 chapters that we're going over, so it's not a whole lot. So I might do like 2 homeworks per chapter. I don't know. The first homework assignment will probably be next week. I'll make it then. Okay, and then quizzes, they're 30%, so that's quite a lot, but I'm making those 30% because we don't have any exams in this class, which I'll talk about in just a second too. So project 1, 20%, and then project 2, 35%. And then if for whatever reason, if everyone's not doing great in the class, which I highly doubt that's going to happen, but there will be some kind of curve in the class. I'll target around probably B for the average, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Okay, someone has a question how to opt out. I keep forgetting where I put my browser. Okay. Okay, so to opt out, you have to go. So if you're on the home page for when you log into to fullerton.edu, you should see your courses right here, and then it says view course material. So you're going to click on that. And then there's an opt out here. This is the first time I'm looking at it too, so opt out. Other, I don't know, you don't want to be charged. Okay, but that's how you can opt out. Okay, so we're going to go back here. Okay, so talk about the homework. Again, I kind of think about how many homework assignments that we're going to have. I'm not going to make too many or give you busy work or anything, but homework is going to be important because that's how you're really going to learn how to use Matlab in this course. Because you need to actually write code or do the exercises to really learn this. If you just watch what I'm doing on the screen, you're not going to be able to learn how to use Matlab because you actually have to do it. Okay, so homework, it's going to consist of some coding exercises, so I'll make that. You're going to have to write some code in Matlab, and then you're going to make sure that it runs smoothly, that there's no errors, and that you have the correct answer, whatever the question is going to be for. And so for this part, you're going to submit your Matlab file to Canvas, and we'll get around to that once we have the first homework assignment, but you're going to submit that file. It's going to be called a .m file. And then the other thing is comprehension. So for that, I will write some Matlab code out myself, and that'll be on the homework. And then I'll have you explain like maybe a whole block of code. You will explain what it's doing and why we need to have that code. Or maybe I'll write some code out and I'll ask you, is this code going to run smoothly or not? Are we going to get an error for this code or not? And if we are going to get an error, explain why we have that error. So this stuff, it's, I don't know, I feel like you can't really visualize it right now if you haven't used Matlab yet or any kind of programming language, but once we get started, this stuff will make some more sense.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So when we're doing the homework assignment, would you give us feedback to know what we did wrong so that we can learn from our mistakes from doing the homework? Or would it be more just like, hey, you got it wrong, there's no feedback?
Well, I'm going to give you the homework answers after you all submit it. So I'll upload that to Canvas, but homework is just going to be completion based, but I will upload the answers. And if I see like some overarching theme where a lot of you got confused, then I'll address that. But I'm not going to grade each individual because that's 42 students. That would take way too long. But if I see a lot of you didn't understand something, then I'll talk about that. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so quizzes, we kind of talked about that. We're going to have them periodically. We're probably going to have at least 10 quizzes in this class. Because I don't want you to have like, let's say we only had 3 quizzes. That's not going to be the case. But let's say we only had 3 quizzes. And if you did bad on one of them, now you could be kind of screwed for your grade. So again, that's what, yeah, 30% of the grade. So that's quite a lot. So we're going to have at least 10 quizzes. They're not going to be super difficult or anything like that. I'm not here to try to make you fail. I just want to make sure that you guys understand the code that you're doing or that you're writing, and that you just understand the code. So just like the homework, we're going to have MATLAB coding exercises. So you're going to write the code. And we're going to have MATLAB comprehension. So I'm going to write code just like in the homework, and you're going to explain that code. And then for the quizzes, for this coding exercise, you're not going to actually type it in MATLAB. So that's going to be different from the homework. So for the homework, you are going to type code in MATLAB, and you're going to save that file, and then you upload that file to Canvas. But for a quiz, we're going to have the quiz inside of Canvas. And then for that, you're just going to type out the code in this, like in a text box that I have for the quiz. But we'll talk about the quizzes more in depth once we get to the first quiz too. Okay. So again, we're going to have a fair amount of quizzes, probably like 10, like I said earlier, something like that. Okay. So projects. So just like the last page showed, we have 2 projects in this class and no exams. So I basically have projects and the quizzes instead of the exams. So like I said, I took this class when I was in undergrad at the same school. And when I took it, all of the quizzes and all of the exams were written by hand on paper. So we were given a question like, plot this data. What would the code be to plot this data? And we'd have to write it out by hand, line by line. And I kind of hated that, to be honest, but there is a purpose to that, and that's to make sure that you understand the code that you're writing. So for that, we're kind of doing that for the quizzes. So that's when you're going to type it out in that text box, but at least you don't have to write it out. So you're going to type it out though. So that does, again, have a purpose to make sure that you guys know the code that you're writing. But that's not going to be, I don't want to have a test where we're just doing that. That would be, I just don't think it's a good method. So we're going to have quizzes to kind of supplement that. Final? No, there's no final. It's just going to be the 2 projects. So the second project, that's going to be due probably finals week. So that's kind of instead of the final. Okay. And again, for projects, I think projects are better than exams anyways, because you learn much better actually working on a project for coding. For me, when I took this class, we didn't have any projects, and I felt like I didn't understand how to code in MATLAB, honestly, that good at all. So when I went into my labs that I had to do, we didn't have to use MATLAB. You might for your labs, but using MATLAB is going to help you a lot for the lab. So, once I was done with this class, I didn't know how to use MATLAB to process my data from the lab. So I want to make sure that you guys do know how to do that. And even beyond, the labs, if you have a project of your own you want to work on, hopefully once you're done with this course, you can confidently work on that project. So when you're working on a project, you have that context of why you're writing the code down that you're writing instead of some like arbitrary exercise that we have for kind of the quizzes. But again, that's to make sure that you understand that specific code. But if we're only having these specific problems like, okay, make this X domain, like from 0 to 100 with 50 points in between. If it's just that question, then that's all you understand is that question, and you don't understand why you're going to use that in something like a project. So hopefully that makes kind of some sense. So the first project, the plan right now is to be the first 3 chapters of the class. So we have Intro to Matlab, Arrays, and then Plotting. So those are going to be the first 3 chapters that we go over. I guess actually 4, because there's another chapter that's called Functions and Files, but all we're going to go over in that chapter is how to import some data into Matlab. So we're going to have those 4 chapters for the first project. And what I'm thinking right now is I'll have you do some data visualization project. So basically, I'm going to give you some data. You're going to have to import that data into Matlab. Then you're going to have to sort through that data. So you're probably going to have to put it into their own arrays. We'll talk about this, in a lecture. And then you might need to do some calculations with those arrays that you have. And then you're going to plot the data. So it's not going to be, an extravagant project that's too difficult, but I think it's going to add, again, context to the code that you're going to write. Flowcharts? No, I don't have any plans for flowcharts. Okay, so that'll be the first project. And then the second one, I haven't really decided what we'll do for that yet, but that's, way down the line. Okay, any other questions so far? No? Okay. Okay, so yeah, we have those 2 projects. I did mention the chapters. I didn't even see that right here. So project 1, again, we have those 4 chapters. That's from the book, but again, you don't need to have the book for the class. And then project 2, programming with MATLAB. So that's going to be really important. That's going to be going over stuff like if-else statements, and then for loops and while loops. So that's probably the biggest topic for this course. Then we have model building and regression, statistics, and then linear algebra. That's going to be another important chapter as well. All right, course website. All of you already saw that. That's just Canvas, the Discord server. So I have the link here as well for the invite, or just go on Canvas to go on the Discord server. And then the rest of the stuff you can pretty much read through. So academic dishonesty, I should have mentioned before, that's another reason why I'm doing projects. Because if we had an exam, whether, I would like to think all of you wouldn't cheat, but the reality is probably some people would cheat. So that's another reason why I have the project, because that's going to show me that you actually know what you're doing, because you're going to, write out all the code for your project. And then you're also going to have to write out a report for that project. So yeah, right here I say, oops. All right, right here I say that the project is going to be submitted through the form of a report. So if you just had a test, there would be some kind of, I guess, opportunity to work with a friend or something, which, the exam should be individual based. And I don't want to use that proctor stuff. Hopefully none of you have to use that this semester, but that might be the case where you need to have someone watching you through your webcam when you take the test. I don't really like that idea. It would give me a lot of anxiety if I was in that situation. So I don't want to do that for you. So that's why we're doing the project as well. Okay, and then I think the rest of this you can just read through. If you're anyone with special needs and you need some accommodation, make sure to send me an email so we can get that sorted out as well. All right, so that's the syllabus. Is there any question on the syllabus? Okay. All right, so I'm going to open up our first lecture here. I'm just going to go over basically just a few slides in this lecture. And I'm going to upload the slides probably either today or tomorrow. Can't see anything? I can see I have two computers right now for this, and I can see my screen on the other computer. But can none of you see the screen?
Looks pretty good on my screen.
Okay. Maybe there was just a momentary glitch. I don't know. Okay. All right, so intro to Matlab. Okay. So we're going to go over programming in this course. Of course, 90% is going to be in Matlab, like I said earlier. And then we're going to carry over that programming knowledge that we just learned in Matlab to Python. So hopefully we can get to that. Python is probably going to be the very last week of our class, but I think it's helpful to kind of see that you can have that transfer of knowledge from Matlab to Python, even though there's going to be some difference in the language. But the transfer of knowledge is going to be pretty easy for you because you're going to have learned a lot of stuff that's still applicable in Python, even if the syntax changes a little bit. Okay, so in this class, we're going to go over the following chapters. Again, that's from the book I showed you earlier, so hopefully all of you can get access to that. So overview of Matlab, that's going to be some basic stuff. We're going to go over basically the UI of the program. And we have numeric cell and structure arrays, functions and files, programming, advanced plotting, model building, statistics, and then linear algebra. And for us, we're going to go over plotting earlier on than what they have in the book. Okay, so we're going to go over Python at the very end, and we're also going to add on a library for Python that's called Bokeh. So this is going to be for interactive plotting, or really for just plotting in general. So something that I like doing all the time is trying to make my plots and basically anything I'm working on look nice. So for me, one of the reasons why I started learning Python, and it might sound a bit silly, but one of the reasons why I did that was to use this program or library called Bokeh, which can have these really nice looking plots. They look pretty good. So I'm going to click on Bokeh. That's not opening up. All right, there is a link there, but it's not opening up in my PDF reader. Oh, here. All right, I'm just going to open this up so you can get an idea. But this will be in the last week, so I don't know if we're going to get to it, but I'd like to if we can. Okay, so again, Bokeh, it's for interactive plots. So for this, it's massive. Let me go to a different one. I'll go to the one I had in the lecture. So basically, if you make a plot in Bokeh, so what we can do is we could have Matlab, and we can, have some data, process that data, and then we have whatever we're going to plot. And then we could export that data into like a CSV file, and then we could use Bokeh, or we could have done all of our data processing inside of Python as well. But basically, we have this interactive plot, or again, you can just make any plot on your own. So once you start doing the labs, like through 6A and through 6B, you can use this if you want, but anyways. So we're going to do that. But again, the main focus for this course is going to be on Matlab and coding inside of Matlab. This is kind of just if we can get to it. All right, so uses for programming. So we're going to organize and post-process data. So that's going to be kind of your first project, a lot of that. Then we're going to go over the use for stuff like for loops to quickly complete a task that requires some iteration. So that'll be for the second project. That'll be the main focus. Visualizing data through plotting, first project again. Solving large linear systems of equations. So this will be something that you might do in some of your classes. You couldn't do that by hand, so this is going to be something that's useful to use something like Matlab. And then, of course, just solving problems faster, easier than by hand, and solving stuff that we can't solve analytically. So we're going to use a numerical method that's not exact, but it's going to be an approximate solution to let us solve some stuff. Okay, so we have some time left right now. So I'm going to go over Matlab now. So I'm going to open it up. Again, if you don't have Matlab installed, that's fine. I'm just going to go over the basics of Matlab today. Okay, so this is going to be the home screen that we have. Let me actually change something here. Okay, so I just changed the colors back to the default setting. So if you were going to open up Matlab on your computer, and if you already have it installed right now, you can open it up if you want, and you can kind of go along with me. But I'm going to go over all of this on Wednesday as well. So be sure that you have Matlab installed by Wednesday. Also, I said that I would go over the installation for that too. So I'll go over that after we just go over this really quick here. Okay, so if you open up Matlab, this again is what it's going to look like. So this main screen right here, this main window, is the command window that we have. So here we can type in any commands that we want. So if I did like something like x equals 5, then you see that I have the output also on the command window. So now I have this variable x and I set it equal to 5. Okay, so we're going to go over this stuff in more detail on Wednesday. Really today I just want to show you the layout. But this is the command window. And on the left here is our current folder. So if I wanted to open up a file here, I can double click that. And now it brought this file up. So if you saw here, our command window, sorry, it just went to the bottom. Well, now I moved it up here. Okay, so if you saw when I opened that file, so our file opened up here and then the command window moved to the bottom of the screen. So we still have that command window, but this file up here is a script file. So this is what you'll be submitting to me for the homework. So a script file is a .m file, that's how it's saved. So basically the command window here, if I type in, just gonna clear this really quick. So if I type in a command in the command window, like x equals 3, then you're gonna see it pop up over here as well. So we have x equals 3 in the command window. We see the output in the command window. And over on the right, in this window, we have the workspace. So that's going to store all of the variables that we put in the command window. So we have x equals 3. If I was going to type in y equals 5, then the variable y, that's going to show up here as well. Okay. And then now if I did something like x plus y, then we're going to get 8. And you'll see that the variable for that is called ANS for answer. So we could have done something instead like z equals x plus y, and we get c equals 8. So I'm going over this pretty fast right now, but we're going to go over this in detail on Wednesday. So let me open up this file again. So again, this is a script file that I just opened up. And that's a .m file. So if I went to save, then it would show files of type, and we're going to save it as a .m file. Okay. And then we also have a .mat file, which is for the workspace. So if we wanted to save all of these variables and we weren't saving a script file, or we just wanted to save the workspace, we could save that as well. So for that, you go on the Home tab and then you press Save Workspace. But we're not going to go over that right now. We'll go over that on Wednesday. So a script file, what we can do with that is we can run this, and I will see that my workspace, it updated for this specific script file. So it logged, we have a variable A, it put A in the workspace. We have a variable B, it put B in the workspace. So all I have to do is just run it, and then it runs through it, and I don't need to save the workspace. But again, we're going to go over all this in detail. I keep saying that, but I'm going over it kind of fast right now. Okay, let's see anything else. So we have all these tabs here. So let me go to the Home tab. So if we want to start a new script file, we could do a new script, or we can press this sign up here for new, and then we can select script. So in this class, all we're going to do is use either the command window, which is at the bottom, or we're going to use a script file. Okay, and then if we want to open a file, obviously we're just going to go to open, and then we can open up whatever file that we want to. So here I'm working on the first quiz, but let's open up something else. All right, so here, this is for the 5th lecture, or the 5th chapter. So this is just some script file. So I can run this. I'm going to go to the editor tab up top, and I can run it. And it's going to prompt me to change the folder. So I have that file in a different directory on my computer. So I don't need to change it by myself. Matlab knows, okay, this file is in a different directory. Do you want me to go to that different directory so I can run it? So we're going to click change folder, and then it just ran right there. So I just had some plot here. Okay. So import data. If we have any data that we want to import, we can do that right here. So I don't have any data in a folder here, but if we had like an Excel file or a CSV file, we could just go to import data, and then it would give us a wizard basically. It would show us like a spreadsheet, and then we could select what we want to import, and we could import that to Matlab. Basically, that would go inside of the workspace over here, and then we could use those variables then. That'll be another lecture as well. All right, so anything else that's important? So I'm going to go to this tab. So plots, they have a plotting tab. But for us, we're just going to write the code to make a plot. Here it's a little more graphical based, where basically if you add two vectors, like a vector x, which is your x domain, and then you add a vector y, which was some function of x, you could just click on one of these plots and it would go, okay, I can plot those two variables, x and y, against each other, or there's two vectors. And we have apps. I never really use that. Editor, so this is where we're going to run our scripts. So we're just going to press run. And then if you had any error inside of the script, you would be allowed to debug the script. So I think that would show up under this tab here. There's no errors here, but it would also show you, see here it's green, so there's no warnings found. So my script ran fine, but if there was an issue, you would see like a red box. And then you could debug it, but again, that'll be another lecture. I just want to show you the kind of the UI and show you where stuff is. Okay, so that's all the important stuff. Really quick, I'll also go over how to use a dark mode in Matlab, because I assume a lot of you like using dark mode too. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume so. So Matlab by itself, it doesn't have, okay, yeah, someone said yeah. So it doesn't have a default dark mode, which is pretty absurd, but whatever. So I'm going to show you how to get the best dark mode that you can get. I'm going to go back to the lecture. Okay, so what we're going to do, and again, I'll upload this PDF either today or tomorrow, but we're going to save our retinas. We're going to use a dark mode. So to do that, we're going to go to Home, Add-ons, Get Add-ons, and search for an add-on called Schemer. So let's go over to Matlab again. So add-ons, Get Add-ons. Oops, go there. All right, so this is for the add-ons. So we're just going to search Schemer. And then where it says Matlab Schemer, that's what you want to install. So you could basically set a dark mode by yourself too, but this has themes that are in there that allow you to just do it automatically. Okay, and then once we're there, okay, yeah, sorry, I did this a while ago, so I gotta remember some of this stuff now. So once you download Schemer, if you're still here, you're gonna click on Open Folder. And if you saw on the left here, on the left-hand side, in Matlab, it shows the current folder that we're in now, which is that Schemer folder. So if I click this drop down here, I click on Schemes, these are all of the themes that they have. So we can set a theme here. Okay. Let's clear that. So to set a scheme, and I think they show this in the documentation too, but it's also on the PDF that I have. We're going to use Schemer import. I think it's Schemer underscore, maybe not. What is it? Yeah, Schemer underscore import, and then whatever theme that you have. So if I set that one, and I just press enter, then it's going to set that theme for us. So that's all you have to do. But we don't have a dark theme on this top toolbar here, or this stuff, it's not dark either. Or if we go to the workspace and we open up a vector like this vector X. Oh, actually, yeah, okay, that is dark. But not everything is going to be dark with this, which is kind of an unfortunate limitation of Matlab, but it is what it is. All right, so you can do that. And then I have one last thing to go over, and that's the installation for Matlab. So all I'm going to do right now is type in CSUF Matlab. Okay, it's going to take us to this screen here. So for Matlab, you can install it on obviously Windows, Mac as well, and then you can also get it on Linux too, even though they don't show it here. So all you have to do, you're going to go to the Mathworks website, kind of sign in. Okay, so I click sign in again, and now it's just asking me for my password from the school. Okay, and then you're going to be given this prompt where you can now download Matlab. So they have a lot of other releases. I don't know why you'd want those, but so you can click release 2020A. That's the first version for the year of 2020. So you can download that. I already have it installed, of course, but if you go to the install guide, which is also really good, so you can go through this as well. But basically, you would download the software, you would install the software, and then once you start going through the installer, it's going to ask you to log in with a Mathworks account. So that's when you're just going to sign in with your school ID. So right here, this is going to be the school ID that you have. You're going to sign in, and then it's going to say select the license, but this will already be there for you. So once you sign in through the school, you're already assigned a Matlab license. So this should show up. If you have any issues though, you can send me an email or go to the Discord server, and I can try to help you out. But that should be there. Then you're just going to continue on through the installation. Once you get here, obviously they're going to show stuff that you need to download, but there's also going to be stuff called toolboxes, which a lot of those you don't need to install, and they're going to be pretty big files, so you don't have to install all of those. And if you want to install one of those later on, you can do that from inside Matlab itself. Okay, and then that's pretty much it. So you're just going to run through that installation, and then you'll be good to go. So just make sure that you have Matlab installed by this Wednesday. And again, if you have any issues, make sure you send me an email or go on the Discord. All right, so I think that's all I wanted to cover today. So yeah, we're not gonna finish that early, but anyways. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Does it matter what year it is, or?
No, the year shouldn't matter. Just don't get something like, I don't know, like 3 years back or something, because I'm just thinking off the top of my head. When we go over chapter 3, I think it is functions and files, that's going to be going over how we import stuff. And I think a few releases back, like let's say 2017, I'm not totally sure, but I think for that release, they don't have a new function that we're going to use to import stuff. So download at least 2019 and above.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so someone is asking, are we ever going to have a group project or see anyone in the class virtually? So I'm not planning any group projects. I want them to be individual, so I know that each individual student knows the code that they're writing, so they can show me that they understand what they're doing. But seeing people virtually, basically just gotta turn on your webcam. Or what I'm also thinking about doing is working on stuff on, okay, well, I'll get to that in a second. So I want to make sure that, or for the classes, you might see each other where basically we're going to have a lecture, and once we have that lecture, we might basically have at the end of the lecture time when you're going to work on some exercise. So at that point, if you didn't turn on your webcam, you can turn it on then and work with other students if you're having any issues. Okay, and then, so someone's asking, when do we need to have Matlab installed by? So that's this Wednesday, meaning August 26th. So make sure you install it either today or tomorrow. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, then you guys are free to go. Just make sure you get Matlab installed, and that's all you have to do by this Wednesday.
Is there any like websites that can like practice prompts that we can like strengthen our skills in Matlab? That would give us like that way if we like if the website gives us like a prompt and we do it and it gives us like, well, red light, you did something wrong. You just keep on doing it over and over until you get a green light, and then
Mathworks might have something like that. Let's see.
more of like it's more of you know, extra palms besides the palms that you will be assigning us. It's more like if we want more practice with the actual software.
I don't know any place off the top of my head, but Mathworks, they might have some stuff like that. But what I would recommend personally is working on some like mini project of your own. So whether, you know, for me, what I like to do is do data visualization. So I would download some data and then I would just work on processing that data and then plotting it. But if you want to do stuff like, I don't know, multiplying matrices or something, that's just something you might need to search yourself, or I can try to help you find other problems too. Okay, someone has a question. Let's see, what files do you want us to install again? Okay, so when you install Matlab, basically you can just go with the default settings and you're going to have everything installed that we need to have installed for the class. It's going to have everything checked off that you have to install, but there's going to be some toolboxes that they're called like for aerospace, but we don't need that for this class, so you don't have to install that one. So you can just go with the default settings. So Simulink, we're not going to do Simulink in this class. I was planning on it in the beginning, but as of now, I'm not planning on using it. So you don't need to have Simulink, or we're not going to be doing Simulink. And then when you log into Mathworks, you're going to use your campus email, and then the password is going to be your password that you use to log in to fullerton.edu. So basically it links, Mathworks links directly to the Fullerton website. Okay, so hopefully that answered that. Any other questions? Okay, if there's no more questions, you guys are free to go. Again, for saying it again, but just make sure you have MATLAB installed by this Wednesday. Okay, someone's asking, do we only need the Symbolic Math Toolbox and the Stats and Machine Learning Toolbox? So Symbolic Math, you should have that. I think we're going to use that, but even if you don't have that toolbox installed, if you're writing some code that required that toolbox, it would say, hey, you need to install this, and then you could install it with the prompt that comes up. And Stats and Machine Learning, we're not going to use that toolbox, so you don't need that. If there's a toolbox for stats, then you can download that. But again, it would prompt you if you have to install anything that you're trying to do. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to stick around here for a few more minutes if any of you have any other questions that you just don't want to ask right now. But that's it for today. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday.